This is the story of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, how a simple cleric rose to become one of the world's most powerful figures, and how his death has jolted a region already on edge. He was born in Mashhad in 1939 into a modest religious household. While the streets of Iran were filled with the glitter of Western fashions under the Shah, his home was quiet, folded in prayer and scripture. As a boy, he wore old shoes to school and carried religious books. Small humiliations that he later wrote shaped the anger and conviction that drove him. Khamenei was also a poet, a thinker who wrote tender lines in the loneliness of prison cells. Yet those same hands that wrote gentle ghazals joined an unforgiving machinery of power. He learned early to connect faith and politics, the idea that religion should guide the state, and he would spend his life turning that idea into an empire. When the Shah fell and the 1979 revolution rolled across Iran, Khamenei became a close associate of Ruhollah Khomeini. He helped build the Revolutionary Guard, an organization that began claiming to protect the revolution and soon became its strongest instrument. The Guard's rise meant that the revolution's survival became the regime's first priority. The darkest stain on his record came in 1988. As the Iran-Iraq war was winding down, secret orders sanctioned mass executions of political prisoners. Thousands, including children, pregnant women and teenagers, were led to their deaths. Khamenei defended those orders as justice. For many Iranians, that episode sealed a truth. The regime would not hesitate to use ruthless violence to keep itself in power. Khamenei's influence quickly widened beyond Iran's borders. After succeeding Khomeini, he reinforced a global posture. Those who insulted Islam or threatened his vision could be targeted across seas. The 1989 fatwa over Salman Rushdie and decades of threats that followed showed how a state's religious edict could ripple into violence far away. The long aftershocks of that decision were seen again in 2022, when an attacker nearly killed Rushdie during a speaking event. A haunting echo of the old decree. Power in Tehran did not rest in ministries. Khamenei's real center was his own office, the Bait-e-Rabari, a tight network of loyalists who answered directly to him and could override elected institutions. From there, he cultivated generals and proxies, men like Qasem Soleimani, who extended Iran's reach across the Levant, Iraq, and beyond. Soleimani was not just a military leader, he was a living tool of Iran's regional strategy. When the US killed him in 2020, Khamenei's world lost a son and a pillar, and he mourned publicly, visibly shaken. Inside Iran, Khamenei's rule was equally uncompromising. When the 2009 Green Movement exploded after disputed elections, he publicly blamed protesters and empowered security forces to crush dissent. Later, the death of Mahsa Amini in 2022 sparked a wave of protests, especially from women. Khamenei insisted that strict moral codes, like the hijab law, were non-negotiable. He treated them as the final barrier holding his ideological order together. The violent response to those protests became another mark of his uncompromising statecraft. Economically, Khamenei's stubborn push for strategic strength, especially the nuclear program, came at great cost. He promoted a narrative that only a nuclear shield could deter foreign invasions, even while international sanctions strangled the economy. Shortages of medicine and food hit ordinary people first, yet in the shadows, reports surfaced of a vast web of wealth and control linked to the leadership. A secret financial empire worth, by many estimates, billions. By the 2020s, succession politics became obvious. A quiet son, kept out of camera frames, was being prepared to take over. That hint of dynastic continuity, the idea that a revolution against monarchy had yielded a different kind of family rule, angered many who had fought for change. Then, on the night of February 28, 2026, a series of strikes struck Tehran's leadership. The bunker that seemed impregnable turned to rubble. Khamenei was killed. The shock rippled from Tehran across the region and the world. For some, his death was liberation's beginning. For others, it was a wound that demanded vengeance. Streets from Tehran to cities across South Asia and the Middle East saw competing reactions: mourning, celebration, and fear. Now Iran stands at a crossroads. The regime's hardliners could double down, choosing the violent continuity Khamenei cultivated for decades. Or a fracture might open, a chance for different voices to grow, for music and art and ordinary life to reassert themselves. Neither path is simple. Decades of institutions, proxies, and networks do not vanish overnight. History will judge him in many ways. As a devout guardian who fortified his revolution, or as a leader whose methods brought suffering and isolation. But there is no denying this. His life reshaped a nation and changed a region. And in those changes lie the choices of the future. Choices now being written in the streets, in politics, and in every family that felt the cost of his rule. This was the story of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. If a line stood out to you, or a moment you want expanded into a shorter clip or subtitle pack, tell me in the comments. And if you want, I'll also make shorter social cuts or thumbnail hooks from this version.